If you feel like everyone else figured out how to make friends except for you, this episode is for you. Maybe you moved to a new city and you thought that making friends after college or university would come just as naturally as it always did. Or maybe you're surrounded by coworkers or acquaintances, but you always feel like everyone's hanging out together and you're kind of on the outside looking in. And it seems effortless for them. It seems like they all have figured something out that you can't quite crack into. If you've been there, then you know it's absolutely the worst feeling. But here's what I want you to know: you are not broken. You didn't miss some crucial adult friendship manual. The truth is, making friends as an adult is harder, not because something's wrong with you, but because the entire landscape of making friends as an adult is completely different in ways that nobody talks about. And look, you can't build a joyful life without meaningful connection. The research is clear on this. But maybe you're frustrated because you feel like you've tried everything and nothing's working. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what's making adult friendships so hard. I'm going to share the exact barriers that are keeping you stuck. And of course, I'm going to go into what you can do to overcome those barriers. But first, if you're hurting about this right now, there's some words I have for you that I need you to hear. And I'd hate for you to miss any conversations like this that could really make a difference for you. So remember to subscribe and join thousands of people who are wanting to build more connected, meaningful lives. So before we dive in, if you have been hurting in this area of friendships in your life, I want to speak to your heart for a second and not to your head. Listen, if you've been wondering what's wrong with you that you can't seem to make this part of your life work, I need you to stop right there. This isn't about you being interesting enough or fun enough or worthy enough to be deserving of friendship. That shame that you might be carrying, that everyone's got some instruction manual that you just can't seem to figure out, that's coming from a system that's broken. It's not coming from something broken inside of you. You might have tried and feel like you failed, and then you're replaying conversations in your head, wondering what you did wrong. Or scrolling through your texts, wondering, analyzing why people don't text you back. Maybe you've convinced yourself that you're fundamentally bad at this. But here's the truth. The struggle isn't evidence of your inadequacy. It's evidence that the world changed and no one's really showed us how to adapt. Your loneliness doesn't mean you're unlikable. It means you're human, living in a time when connection requires intention that it never used to. And also, if you're grieving friendships that you used to have, people that you knew deeply, but that drifted away when life got complicated, that loss is so real too. You're not just trying to rebuild something new. You're trying to rebuild something that you once had and miss terribly. And that's an entirely different kind of hurt. And it's a meaningful one as well. So if you've been beating yourself up for not having figured this out yet, you can stop. This isn't a you problem. This is a how we live now problem. And there are actual strategies that work. And we're just about to get into them. In a moment, I'm going to invite you to join me in a brief mindfulness exercise. It's just a moment to pause. If that's not for you, feel free to skip ahead. All good. But if you're open to it, let's try this together. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Again, slowly in and exhale. Check in with your body. Where might you be holding some tension right now? In your jaw, your chest, your shoulders, and where in your body might feel a little bit more open. Bring your awareness to that more open space and maybe place a hand there. Let this be a moment where you don't have to analyze or fix anything. Just be. I'm going to share a few affirmations now that you may want to take for yourself. Use what lands and feel free to let go of what doesn't. The struggle to make friends doesn't mean that I'm defective. My desire to want connection is healthy. My worth isn't determined by how many friends I have. Friendship, especially the kind of friendships I want, take time, and I'm okay with that. I don't need to be perfect to deserve real connection. I feel like you just deserved a second to just take a breath, and I hope that felt good. And now let's get into what's actually going on when you struggle to make friends, and most importantly, what you can do about it, how we can change this. I'm Dr. Therese, and this is Checking In. If this is your first time here, this is for the high achievers, the eldest daughters, the ones who look like they have it all together when they are silently exhausted. Here we talk about building a life you don't need a vacation from. Whatever you're facing, loneliness, burnout, that feeling like you've lost yourself somewhere along the way, I'm here to meet you exactly where you are and walk you through it. This isn't therapy, but it's like you get to summon the support of a therapist exactly when you need it most. And I'll be dropping new episodes every Thursday. This topic of friendship is incredibly personal to me because I've lived it in so many different stages. The loneliness of starting over new cities, the awkwardness of trying to make friends in your 30s and even 40s, and the grief of losing friendships that were meaningful to you, and just how disorienting that can be to lose someone that you felt like you would always have. I've had to rebuild my social circle many times, and I know what it takes to build friendships that last. Here's what most people don't realize about adult friendship. The entire context of how to make friends completely changes from when we were kids, but no one has taught us how to adapt to that. We're trying to make friends with childhood strategies in an adult world governed by completely different rules. I'm going to walk you through 4 barriers to friendship, and then after that, I'm going to talk to you about the exact strategies to help you break through those barriers. Are you ready? The first barrier is structure. We've lost the structures that practically used to build friendship for us. Think about when friendship felt easier. Elementary school, high school, college, or university. You were surrounded by the same people every day, doing the same things, working toward the same goals. You didn't have to manufacture connection. It just happened through repetition. So we feel nostalgic for friendships that felt effortless, forgetting that they're built on structures that we no longer have. Now, you work with people that you may not click with. You live in different neighborhoods. Everyone's schedule is packed. You may meet someone that you click with at a party or a networking event. You exchange numbers and then nothing, because neither of you have the natural structure that forces you to follow through. Here's the thing. We think that putting ourselves out there should be enough. But without repeated, consistent exposure to the same people, connection doesn't stick. One coffee date, one networking connection, one encounter at the gym. These aren't enough to build a friendship that's sustainable. And this is why you feel exhausted from trying, but getting nowhere. You're doing all the right things, showing up, being friendly, putting yourself out there, but without the structure of repetition, it just doesn't take root. So here's what actually works. Create the structure that's missing. Since we don't have those natural friendship building structures anymore, you have to create them intentionally. Adult friendships require the same person, the same place, the same time, repeatedly, until connection builds naturally. Here are 2 ways to create that friendship building structure. Number 1, the commitment strategy. Join something that requires you to show up consistently for 6 to 12 weeks. Not dropping classes or one-time events, but an ongoing thing. Think of like a book club, a cooking class, volunteering somewhere, an ongoing space for connection. The key is consistency with the same people over time. The second is the host strategy, which is where you create your own recurring events. Think of a monthly game night, a walking group, a meetup group around something that you're interested in, a coffee meetup. And it's perfectly okay to start small. Even 3 to 4 people gathered is fine. You don't need 20. And this way, you're taking initiative to create the structure that builds friendships naturally over time. And it's not like everything you tried before didn't matter. It's just that it probably didn't mean that you were creating that structure where you could see the same people in the same place at the same time, so you could build that connection. So give this a shot. The second barrier, we're all waiting for someone to make the first move, and we don't want to look needy. You meet someone, you have a great conversation, and you think, that was great. I'm sure if they want to be friends, they'll reach out. Except they're thinking the exact same thing about you. Everyone's being polite, everyone's being careful, and nobody's taking initiative. And if everybody's waiting to receive invitations, nobody's getting invitations. Here's what's really happening. We're terrified of seeming desperate. We're afraid of rejection. We interpret someone's not reaching out as disinterest when they might actually be worried about bothering you. I see this all the time where people get stuck in that, we should hang out sometime, that loop, and they get stuck in that loop for forever, and then no one's actually ever hanging out. No one wants to be the one who tries too hard. And what sucks about this is that so often people who want to be friends both end up feeling alone, not having that connection. And they're thinking that the other person wasn't that into the friendship. To break through this, be the one who goes first. Someone has to be brave enough to make the first move, and it might as well be you. Here are 2 ways to take initiative. The first one is called the follow-up habit. After a positive interaction, try to reach out within the next 48 hours. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You can say something like, it was great meeting you. Do you want to grab coffee next week? Be specific about when and where, and don't just be vague because you don't want to act like you're interested. You're interested, so just be specific. The second way to break through this is by embracing the repeat invitation. If someone can't make it the first time, try again. Most people give up after 1 no, but that no usually isn't about you. Try 2 to 3 times before concluding that they're not interested. The reality, someone has to text, someone has to make plans, someone has to call. And if you're always waiting for the other person to do it, you're both going to stay lonely. Speaking of building connections, can I tell you about something that has made my life so much easier? As a therapist, I used to dread the admin side of my practice. Billing, scheduling, notes. It felt like it was all stealing time from what I actually loved doing. That's why I'm so grateful for Therapy Notes. It handles all the business stuff seamlessly, and their new Therapy Fuel AI can draft progress notes in seconds. It gives me more time to focus on building real connections with my clients and creating content like this. If you're a therapist who wants to spend more time on what matters, check out Therapy Notes using my code Dr. Therese for a free 2-month trial. You can also find the link in the description. Back to those barriers, the third barrier to making friendship is we're impatient. We're impatient with the process and we refuse to make space for it. We want friendships to develop on our timeline, quickly, neatly, packed around all the other things that we're busy with. You try once or twice to make plans maybe, and when the stars don't align, you give up. You want to feel like you have that instant best friend within the first or second hangout. Friendship is a long game, and we're trying to play on fast forward. Here's what's missing. Real friendship takes time. It takes repetition. It takes showing up even when it's inconvenient. But we're too busy, too burned out, too scheduled to let friendships breathe and develop naturally. We expect friendships to fit around everything else in our lives instead of making space for them. We want connection without rearranging our priorities. We want intimacy without investing the time intimacy requires. This is why you give up on potential friendships too soon. You meet someone, and maybe it doesn't feel like instant best friend connection, and you assume it's not meant to be. But that instant magic you're waiting for, it's incredibly rare. It doesn't happen all the time. Here's what actually works. Commit to the long game. Stop expecting immediate intimacy and start investing in the slow build. Great friendships are built through a collection of ordinary moments, not instant magic. 2 ways to play the long game. The first is the 10 interaction rule. Give yourself 10 interactions with a person before you decide whether they're worthy of a friendship or not. Coffee dates, group activities, phone calls, whatever works. Most people give up after 2 or 3 interactions after there's still that level of awkwardness that's actually quite normal. So with the 10 interaction rule, you're choosing to stick it out past that initial feeling of discomfort. The second way is the calendar commitment. Put friendship building on your calendar like it's a commitment, just like you would a work meeting. Block out 2 to 4 hours per week for social activities or being in spaces where you'll be able to make friends. And make it a non-negotiable, like a doctor's appointment. That way you're making space for the friendships that matter to you instead of treating it like it should be squeezed around everything else in your schedule. So let me just pause and check in for a second. Of the 3 strategies we've discussed, structure, initiative, and playing the long game, which one feels most doable to you right now? And most importantly, what's stopping you from trying it? What sorts of thoughts are getting in your head telling you that this isn't for you? If you're thinking none of these feel doable right now, that's okay too. Just you being here and learning about this is a meaningful step to move you in the right direction. And you don't have to have it all figured out today. But drop a comment and let me know what you're thinking about these steps. And I read every comment, so I'd love to hear what's going through your head. The 4th barrier is our self-talk. We assume that we're not good enough and people don't want our friendship. You might see people who you see are really inspiring, interesting, fun, beautiful, and you assume that they're too good for you. Or they're up to lots of exciting things and you think that they're too busy for you. You tell yourself that they probably have lots of friends already and they wouldn't be interested in having another one. The problem is that we see ourselves so often as charity cases instead of as gifts to be friends with. Here's the truth. When you decide that people don't want your friendship, you rob them of the opportunity to decide for themselves. When you hold back because you think you're not enough, you are taking that decision away from them. When you see yourself as the one who needs friendship more, the needy one, then you're forgetting that friendship is mutual and that you have something valuable to offer too. This is why you hold back sometimes, even when you want to reach out. You convince yourself that they're too busy, too cool, too whatever for you. But that story that you're telling yourself, it's keeping you isolated. Your negative self-talk becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You don't reach out because you assume they don't want to hear from you. They don't reach out because you seem distant or uninterested. And you both end up alone, convinced that the other person was too good for you anyway. Here's how to break through this. Act as if you're wanted. Not in an arrogant way, but in a I have value to offer way. There's 2 ways to fix this. The first is the assumption flip. So this is a reframe. Instead of assuming they don't want to hear from me, make the opposite assumption. They probably want to hear from me. Focus on the second thought, not the first one. This isn't about being delusional. It's just giving the situation a chance to let you see for yourself if they're interested in friendship with you. The second way to break through this block is by taking what we call the gift perspective. Before reaching out, remind yourself, I'm not asking for charity. I'm offering genuine connection, which is what everyone needs. You're not imposing. You're inviting someone to something that's mutually valuable. In the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding, there's a scene where the main character, Tula, who's felt awkward and unattractive for most of her life, she walks up to this table in the cafeteria full of these popular girls and she asks if she can sit with them. She's nervous, she feels out of place, but she just puts herself out there. That moment of courage that Tula has in the movie, where she says, can I sit here? Even though she feels awkward and nervous. That's what I'm talking about. It's awkward, it's vulnerable, but it's how connection starts. You have something valuable to offer. Your presence, your connection, your care, these are things that people want. So stop deciding for other people what they do or don't want. Just put yourself out there and let them decide for themselves. And I know this can sound like a lot of effort, but friendships are worth the effort. You and your happiness is worth the effort. You deserve to have people in your life that know you, see you, and show up for you. And that's not asking too much. That's asking for what every human being deserves. Now, as we wrap up, I just want to really quickly say that if you're dealing with social anxiety, depression, or if you're in a situation where you can't socialize, those are real struggles, and I don't want to oversimplify the complexities of your particular situation. If you're in those situations, you deserve to have professional support. And this video can be a help, but it's not everything. You might be dealing with real life barriers, financial issues, health issues, you're a caregiver, and if you're dealing with any of those things, those are just real tough. So my hope is that you'll get a few ideas from this video, but know that there's no blame here for if you're having difficulty in this area. But if you're up for trying something, my advice is to just start with one thing. I know I've shared a few tips, but it's almost always easier if you start simple and start with one thing, start small. So pick one of these solutions and give it a try. Try it for a week, try it for 2 weeks, and see how it feels for you. It's completely normal for it to take time. It doesn't mean that it's not working. Just keep going. You're building something new, and that takes time. If this conversation resonated with you, I want to invite you to join my newsletter community. Every week I share insights like this, practical wisdom for building relationships that last. And I want to give one more thank you to my sponsor, Therapy Notes. Thank you for making this episode possible. If you're a therapist looking to streamline your practice so you can focus on what you love most, check them out using code Dr. Therese for a free 2-month trial, or you can go to the link in the description. Before I let you go, making friendships as an adult isn't supposed to be effortless. It's supposed to require intention, energy, and a willingness to be a little awkward until those connections start to form. That's not a flaw in the system. That's actually how adult friendship works. You're not too old, you're not too busy, too introverted, too whatever to build meaningful friendships. You just need some better strategies and more realistic expectations. And maybe most importantly, you need to remember that everyone else is figuring this out too. They just might not be talking about it. So I invite you to start small and pick something doable. Be willing to be the person that goes first with effort and initiative. Real friendships are built on one ordinary interaction at a time. And friendships, they're what make a joyful life possible. Thanks for checking in with me today. I'll see you next Thursday.